row, right here. Here, read this. Seriously, you guys are all going to go to jail if you don't open the park. That's contempt of court. That's illegal. It says right here, we want in, but you won't let us in.
Follow me inside, please.
We'd like to, but you won't let us. But right here, contempt of court. Contempt of court, my friend.
We're not in my face.
Okay, fine, go to jail, man. Contempt of court, guys. You're not letting us in the park.
Okay, so my name's Owen Hill. I've just finished college in the summer, and I'm down here at Zuccotti Park because I've been waiting for this movement my whole life. I mean, people have been telling them about it all morning. I mean, the most popular chant when we arrived at the park was, "You are in contempt of court," and we had, hundreds of the injunctions printed. We repeatedly tried to give them to leading officers, among others, and they would refuse to take them. In fact, one person tried to give it to one of the higher-up officers in a white shirt and a tie, and he refused to take it. He let it fall on the ground. He said, "Pick that up right now, or I'm arresting you for littering," which gives you a sense of how disinterested the police are in complying with the court's orders.
Illegal complication. Police are occupying the park illegally while we should be on. They can join us if they want to. They're still part of the 99% working force. Kind of fucked up part of it, but they still belong with us. They shouldn't be barricading us out from it when we have the right to be in there. They're occupying it for themselves. We should be in there, man. And they can come join us, but you can't kick people out when they have a right to be out of a certain space.
The dangers posed were evident last week when an EMT was injured as protesters attempted to prevent him and several police officers from helping a mentally ill man who was menacing others.
What's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Joel Alloway. I'm from Lincoln, Nebraska.
How do you spell your name?
A-L-L-O-W-A-Y. The first name is Joel, J-O-E-L.
How old are you?
24. Gonna be 25 here in a couple days. So.
Okay, so what's your occupation?
My occupation? Street musician. The police department couldn't gain access. They were here all the time. Like, what are they talking about? Like, the police were a 24/7 presence here. I don't know what you mean they couldn't gain access. They've come in before. They took our generators a couple weeks ago. Like, I don't know what that's about. So I don't know. I'm sympathetic to the police. I understand they're just doing their jobs. They're trying to be neutral so they can, judge the events properly. Like, they're not the ones I'm really pissed at. It's more the political decision involved, and the fact that once again hundreds of police were brought down here. Apparently, a lot of them were sucked out from the rest of the city. So, in other words, everyone else living out there had less police protection, and Wall Street had all this police protection. So again, it was like they were getting everything, and then the normal people were just getting shafted for the dismantling of peaceful protests.
And the proliferation of tents and other obstructions created an increasing fire hazard that had to be addressed.
It was addressed in court, and one of the interesting things that the attorneys for the demonstrators talked about was that after the city said a month or so ago that they were going to clean out the park, that the Occupy Wall Street folks did an amazing job, like start cleaning stuff up. They reached out to the city in Brookfield and said, like, let us work with you to address these issues. So I see the city really as using those issues as a pretext to get rid of a group of people who are putting out a message that they don't like. If the city was actually interested in addressing sanitation and fire code issues, they would actually sit down with the demonstrators and say, let's work through how can we address sanitation, how can we address fire code, and would actually come up with some constructive response instead of evicting, hundreds of people in the middle of the night.
Health problems?
Well, there's health problems all over this. Yeah, maybe, but give me a specific fucking example of a health problem they said is flammable, but it's just ridiculous. They're using any little thing to enforce whatever laws they've created against us.
The fire hazard thing, they should have just come to us and addressed that rather than completely just kick everybody out. I think it was a scapegoat to try and stop us from shutting down Wall Street on the 17th. I think it's purely a political decision.
I mean, this whole system's a health hazard. You want to talk about health hazard? Let's talk about my aunt, who right now is a cancer fighter, and she just, she's been struggling with cancer for the last decade. It came back a couple years ago, and she's been unable to work. at her job as a teacher for the last year. She repeatedly asked the Department of Education whether she would be able to return, or her health care would be covered, and whether she needed to pay anything. They told her no, you didn't need to pay anything. So about a couple weeks ago, she got, she's been accepted into a clinical trial, which is cutting-edge breakthrough research on fighting cancer, and that's really, I think, kind of her last shot to save herself. Like 2 weeks ago, the DOE notified her that she owes $10,000 in back payments for Cobra. The DOE and the for-profit healthcare system are literally killing my aunt. You want to talk about health hazard? That's a health hazard.
Unfortunately, the park was becoming a place where people came not to protest, but rather to break laws, and in some cases to harm others. There have been reports of businesses being threatened and complaints about noise and unsanitary conditions that have seriously impacted the quality of life for residents and businesses in this now thriving neighborhood.
To protect, some vague notion of neighborhood. We're part of the neighborhood too. Zuccotti Park's been here for 2 months. It's also part of the neighborhood. Are we seen as like different people than the people live in the city, in this neighborhood? Do we not have the same rights as they do? I just find it shameful and despicable, and it's the sign of an autocrat, not a person who believes in democracy.
Yeah, I know a few people from my hometown who work in the area. I think their response has been mixed. I think some of them are, upset about some of the noise and stuff like that, but are really sympathetic to the political issues that have been raised by the occupiers here, who've been giving a voice to, I think, things that some of us have been talking about, but that haven't gotten the attention in the media that this group of people has been able to get in the past 2 months. And I think, even if they have some, disagreement with the noise and stuff like that, they understand that it's an important political message that needs to be heard.
You know what I think is not good for business? The recession caused by Wall Street. The fact that they crashed the economy. That's not good for business. That's actually even more, that's a much bigger crisis than, selling a few little pizzas. I don't know. I don't know if it's good for business or bad for business. There's no data out there. But what I do know is that with their speculation and securitization, Wall Street directly led to the collapse of the U.S. economy and the world economy. And I think that's a much more important issue to be talking about than whether, people smell bad.